What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Breathing Air podcast, where everyday action meets extraordinary mindset. Today, we have a very talented individual who has been a part of multiple businesses. He is currently the Chief Marketing Officer and Creative Director for Borderline Clothing and Supply. He's also a very good photographer and very into graphic design and has a lot of experience there. He's an avid traveler, and he's an outdoorsman. Mason Gardner, thanks for coming on, man.
What's up, man?
Man, how's everything been?
Great, dude. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
a pleasure,
excited,
man. Yeah. So just a little backstory for some of y'all. My cousin and Mason were really good friends, and it got to the point where it was like, I'm looking for people who have this kind of expertise in, the marketing area and shooting video. As you see, we're finally getting this stuff on YouTube for y'all. So Mason was one of the guys that he said to, check out and holler at. And so hollered at you like earlier this week, and here we are, bro.
Now we're here, man.
Yeah.
I hope I am able to help out in anything you need, dude.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So if you want to just start off, tell us a little bit about, your childhood, like where you grew up, like the family, all that.
Okay. I grew up in a small town, Mount Vernon, Arkansas, I graduated 26 people, which is
wow.
Tiny, yeah.
26.
Yeah, went to Arkansas Tech, also small university. After that, I was kind of spinning my wheels, man, because, I never really knew exactly what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Coming from a small town, I always felt like I was creative, but coming from a small town, that kind of pushed back when you're a straight white male. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't like art. You can't do stuff like that in a town like that. But
right.
Once I got away from that and I started thinking like, why am I worried about that type of thing? You know what I mean? I need to do what my own. Yeah. So that's when I got into photography. Started doing a lot of hiking and landscape photography, and it like stoked that fire for being able to create stuff. And I bought my first Mac, started playing around with graphic design like Adobe Illustrator, found out that I could kind of do that. All right, you know what I mean? And started putting out stuff on social media. Was getting a lot of feedback through that.
Yeah.
As family goes, I was raised by a single mom, and raised by a single mom is kind of like a weird deal because you never, I don't know, you hear different stories, but I was also into sports. So what I guess my mom couldn't give me, sports gave me, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that work ethic type of stuff and like camaraderie and team spirit. Right. Yeah. So I got a lot of that from sports, just playing, basketball and baseball. And I think that's what kind of got me into like being competitive, and wanting to not just do something, but like be good at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not just like, I'm kind of interested in it. I want to try this. I want to like be better than not a specific person, but I want to, do a little more than what the average person could. Not that, I was just, that got me going. You know?
Absolutely.
So with photography and that's what kind of started my creative journey. I would try to take pictures of stuff in a little different way than I would see them everywhere else. You know what I mean? If somebody was taking a picture of a building, I didn't want to take the same picture that everybody else takes. You know what I mean? I would do something cool or try to do something cool, and that's really kind of what gets me going, is like to do something a little different. I don't like the same old thing,
Yeah, kind of differentiate yourself from what people are used to seeing.
Right. Yeah. Not to say that I'm any better. I'm just saying that makes me feel better when I get to try to do stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's what sets you apart too, is you have your own little unique take on things, and then that's what you try and portray.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where social media came in play,
Right.
Because the people that you're surrounded yourself with might not always be into what you're into. but the world is huge. You know,
is.
social media has however many million followers, million people, users, you know. So people that like your thing might find you, you know, and you can put yourself in front of them, you know, if you try.
Yeah, it's a super powerful tool. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just all about how you use it. And like you said, I thought something was pretty cool what you said there earlier, like growing up in a small town and like maybe being worried about, is someone gonna will someone think I'm like weird for doing this, or like so like, especially, I mean, at that time, you know, you're a teenage kid or something and you have all these like insecurities or things that you're like, I don't know what people are gonna think about me. And we kind of talked last week, we kind of talked about this too, is just kind of like what's masculinity, like what is that as far as like showing emotion or like being creative or like things like that. Like that's who you are as a person. You should, I commend you for like putting yourself out there like that, you know, because some people are hesitant and scared to do that. But I mean, I'm sure you can attest that once you did do that, it was like a weight lifted because you were being you.
No, that's the thing. It's like I felt like I became more of myself. You know what I mean? I wasn't hiding behind what I was supposed to be. You know what? You know, people
Quote,
thought I should
unquote,
be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, I love my family, but all of them are pretty, you know, they're pretty like, they have their own ideas of what they think that everybody should do, or they're open and loving, but you know, they just like a lot of families is like, you know, some people think that you should go and be whatever, you know, but sometimes you want to do what you know, you feel to your core, you know, and not what somebody wants you to do. So breaking away from that has been the biggest thing for me, you know, and I feel happier because I don't have anybody I have to answer to when it comes to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's, I think a lot of people go through that early on, especially where it's like, man, like my dad's a lawyer. He wants me to be a lawyer. Dad sells cars.
Exactly.
I should probably sell cars, or like there may be some lineage that's, you know, been passed down, but then you're kind of like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. I think as a young man, I mean, I'm sure it is for ladies too, but that social pressure and structure that we're kind of put under as a child to be successful through what somebody else thinks is the lane, kind of like hold you back. You know what I mean? Imagine I could have been into this stuff when I was younger if I didn't feel like I was scared that it was going to look weird. You know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. And you say like your own lane, and that's the thing. So many people think that there's one way to do it, but there's so many different ways, and we're all just unique in little different ways. So, but you're right. There's those social norms, like quote unquote social norms, or like outside forces that, you know, you feel like sometimes you have to answer to, but in reality, when you throw those aside, it's freeing. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like what you kind of got into it a little bit, but what kind of like sparked your interest for photography? Like you had this creative side, and like what kind of sparked your interest to like start creating, and like what turned you on to that?
So I've always been like, I remember like in elementary school, like kids would tell me I have good ideas. So I didn't, you know, whatever. Yeah. And then I've always been into art and appreciated it, but I don't know if self-diagnosed ADHD or something, you know what I mean? I kind of just, so when it comes to art, I don't have the patience to learn how to do the perfect brush stroke or whatever, you know? But photography, I can see something that I like and snap it. You know what I mean? It's just quick. It's quick. I can just keep going and just snap it. And the more I got into it, the more I started thinking through, you know, the lens. Yeah. So with photography, that's how it started. It was like a quick way to art, you know what I mean? And then I could just do I can take as many photos as I want to. Yeah. And then eventually I would come up with my favorite one. I could scroll back through them and see, I really love this one. You know what I mean? Right. And it was like a nice like way to handle my ADHD or whatever I have, you know what I mean? But also create at the same time, you know? Right.
And I feel like this is something that's important because so many people are clinically with ADHD. Yeah. You know, I remember when I was young that teachers always complaining to my mom, like, he won't sit still in class.
Yeah.
And, you know, my mom's like, well, he's just, you know, he's a boy. He's a 10-year-old boy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I think it should almost be a requirement for some like younger elementary school teachers to like have kids on their own.
Yeah.
So they can kind of realize that like some of this stuff is normal.
Yeah.
But, you know, and now today it's like, oh, he has ADD. Let's put him on medication, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that as more research comes out against that and stuff, people will start to see that it's like when you take that maybe like hyperness or like that heightened senses and like bouncing off the wall, that energy, when you take it from someone, it's almost like taking like a God-given gift for some people.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is like little ways to use it for your advantage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of the times it doesn't play with other people. Other people might not like that because you're a little more high strung or whatever. But the thing is like if you can find how to use it, I think it could be beneficial, you know.
Yeah.
Because it kind of stinks to like suppress that when, you know, that's who you are, you know.
Yeah.
Why push that down? Find a way to use it instead, you know.
Right. Yeah.
That's a lot easier to said than done, but I think that there's definitely things out there, you know. If you're, I don't know, a librarian, it might not work for you.
Yeah. If you're just
choose a
different
like, career. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you said, you know, your creative side, like that's so, you look at all these people, like even way back in history, like artists, composers, and people who created things that have lasted for, you know, centuries. A lot of those people were weird and messed up in the head.
Exactly.
Really clinically messed up in the head.
Exactly.
Like Vincent van Gogh, right? He cut his ear off and sent it to his girlfriend or something
like
his
that,
ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like that is not, you're not right in the head.
No.
So it's like, but then you look at his art and you're like, wow, this dude is a genius.
Yeah.
Or like Kanye West, like he's out off the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just, and then he just creates these things that are like, wow, how does someone even think of these?
I listened to a story about when he made that Jesus Walks album.
Yeah.
And to hear the process of like just in his head, when you hear it, you know, you play the music, it's all right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But to hear the process of the artist itself and like all the little bitty things that he puts into it, and you're like, whoa, you know what I mean? It's way bigger than just a song, you know. It's like his brain set out there, and you're like, look at this, you know what I mean?
It really is crazy how that works. And that's what's so beautiful about art, though, is that it's like all this crazy stuff in your head, and then you can put it into something that is like visual or, you know, auditory. Like you can hear it and it just comes to life. And it's not just inside you anymore. It's like alive.
Yeah.
And people get to enjoy that.
Yeah.
But it's also weird because what their perspective is, like what the artist's perspective is, may be something totally different than what each person looks at it and sees.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of when I was talking about social media is like, I know that I put out stuff and other people put out stuff that they absolutely love that Joe next door might not like at all. You know what I mean? But the beauty of social media is somebody might see that actually just absolutely loves it. You know what I mean? Just it gets them, you know?
Right.
And now that the world's connected, you have so many little avenues to kind of network with people that you may have never even heard of before, you know?
Right.
Stuff that inspires you, because like I could see something that I'm like, I've never seen that before, you know? And I like think in my head the next time I'm out doing like a photo shoot, I'm like, I love how so-and-so did this shot. I want to try to do something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like a huge roll, like a snowball, just gets bigger and bigger of like your inspiration and what you find is beautiful. And it can inspire you to just keep working, when before, if you never had that inspiration, that you might get tired of doing something because you have no feedback or whatever, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a yellow pages for the whole world. Like they could put all like their reviews on like what you're putting out there, which is pretty cool.
Exactly.
It's a powerful tool, and I always say, you know, it's just about how you utilize it and about like what you're consuming on it, because garbage in, garbage out, good things in, good things out. Same thing, social media. Like, it could be used in a very positive direction. It can be used in the opposite direction.
Exactly.
You just kind of have to guide what you're and how you're using it.
Yeah. I believe in it if you're using it as a tool. You know what I mean? Because it's an amazing tool. Yeah. It also is a time suck if you just spend all the time trying to consume stuff and fill your head with whatever, But if you use it as a tool, I mean, you can get yourself out there. You can get your product out there. You can get your image out there. You can sell whatever you want to sell because you have the ability to connect to people for free, literally for free.
Right. It's crazy that I say that all the time. Like, it's crazy that this stuff is free because it's literally the most powerful tool, like, that's at the tip of your hands to reach everybody. So many people. I'd like to know what the numbers are for how many people out there have at least one social media account. I'm sure it's like staggeringly like high. But so kind of expand on that. When you say, you're the chief marketing officer, creative director, social media obviously plays a huge role in that. So kind of, what are some things that you look at whenever you're promoting something online, or like promotional ideas or discounts? Like, what's some of the like intricate stuff that maybe the regular person wouldn't know as far as promoting a product on social media?
So I think a lot of people put a lot of weight on like what you're putting out and like aesthetic. When like, if you have like a solid product, like a t-shirt, it's more about getting in front of the people. You know what I mean? Like a pretty picture and a cool shirt doesn't mean it's going to sell. You know what I mean? You have to get eyes on that shirt. The more eyes you get on that shirt, say 1% of all of the people that seen it bought that shirt, you can make some money. Yeah. You just need
eyes.
100,000 eyes on the shirt, and then you made a lot of money. You know what I mean? So the thing is you got to learn how to work that social media by using ads. Those are good, but also engagement is the biggest thing. People don't understand that. People think, I'm going to put this out, I'm going to add hashtags to it, people are going to click on it. I use social media every day. I use Instagram all the time, however many times a day. Right. I don't ever go and search a hashtag. Some people do. Yeah. Some people, I don't search like mountain. You know what I mean? But we put hashtag mountain on our Instagram post. What is that doing? It's being like, all right, well, whoever does, all these random people that actually might search that could see it. But the thing is you get way more engagement if your brand is going to a hashtag. You say, for example, I search mountain, right? And I click on the first post that comes up, the most recent post. And it's some girl in Arizona or whatever that just went hiking. And we say, oh, we love your picture. Right? You know what she's going to do? She's going to, who is this? Click on it. She's going to see the page, and then she's going to like, oh, that's nice of this brand to say something to me. You just built brand equity about it's slow, you know what I mean? It's a process, but you just built brand equity by being nice. You didn't have to pay any money to get her to look at your page, you know what I mean? So you just do that, you'll build just a big bubble of people that think your brand is a nice brand, you know what I mean? And then you put enough content out there to keep them interested, engaged, yeah. And that's a secret that's not a secret, but it's a thing that hardly anybody uses because they think, I'm going to put hashtags on it. If people see it, they'll see it. You know what I mean? And the thing is the way the algorithm works is not even all your followers see your posts. It's like the followers that engage with you the most see your posts. So you have to do that. You know what I mean? You have to engage. If you don't engage, you just start slipping back in the algorithm. That's a big deal for companies and brands that they kind of miss. Because I'll see you see beautiful stuff and you're like, that deserves to be somewhere seen, and it's just slipping away because people don't know how to like engage with people.
Work the system. Yeah. You're
really working the system.
Yeah, you're working the system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always say this. I think when it comes to sales or, marketing and just in that territory of business, it's the two most important things are relationships that you create, like you said, engagement and stuff like that, and then product.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hey, this is a quality, solid product.
Exactly.
One, because if you don't have a good product, even if people get it, then they're not going to be likely to word of mouth, buy more, etc. So product's obviously important, but then it just comes down to relationships.
Exactly.
I think sometimes it's made more complex than it is, and like you said, engagement.
Yeah.
You're building brand equity. You're building engagement with those people. You're building a relationship with them on a personal level, where like a Nike or Adidas or whatever, they're so massive and that they're not going to take their time to engage with their consumers.
They don't have to.
Right.
But a small business, because, for us, not that we are in direct competition with certain other companies, but for us, if you want to spend $30 on a shirt, that's a big deal for some people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So why buy our shirt over their shirt? Okay. Some companies are so far up that they don't have to do that anymore. But for a small business, you have to make people think or feel that that money is worth their time spending.
Yep.
They feel happy about investing in a new company. You know what I mean? All that stuff has to meet up, or they won't buy a shirt or they won't buy your product, because they need to feel, when you're out of the service industry, they need to feel like they like what they're doing. You know what I mean? They like the product, other than just it's pretty. They're happy about buying from this company. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. And so for those of y'all tuning in, we're talking about Borderline Clothing and Supply. Go check them out on Instagram. You go check it out on Instagram, Facebook. They got a solid following there. From my perspective, just, looking at the brand and stuff, it's very outdoorsy and, like hiking and stuff that I love, and that's huge here in Arkansas as well, really all over.
Yeah.
But just really kind of granola and it's solid. I love it. It's, if I could like put it next to a brand that some people would probably know, like Patagonia-ish, like that outdoorsy vibe, and y'all should definitely go check that out. They got a lot of really cool stuff, and they're really active in the community as well. I think you said this earlier, go ahead and you can tell us a little bit about that.
Well, every shirt buys 10 meals. We work with the food bank up there in Mountain Home and across Arkansas. Every shirt buys 10 meals, and I don't have the numbers from 2019, but 2018 we gave out 150,000 meals.
Wow,
so
that's incredible.
Yeah. So it's, giving back's a pretty big deal for us, because we want to do this. We are trying to do this because we love the outdoors and stuff, but giving back to people and making people happy is so much more fulfilling than making a couple bucks. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to make money, of course. Whatever. It's a capitalist country. But giving back is a huge deal for all of us, And we kind of, for the future, we kind of want to continue down that road, if it food bank or other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's huge for a company, especially starting up too in the early stages, where it's not like you're bringing in all this revenue that like a large corporation would. So there's got to be more of a driving force behind what you're doing.
Yeah. And, we talk about it, but we try to talk about it gently, because we don't want it to come off gimmicky. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't want it to be kind of cheesy, where like, that's our deal. We're going to make a couple dollars if you buy this shirt. Also, we give 10. We hope that we can do it humbly. We want to be able to do that, and it makes us feel good. If you don't even know that we did it, that's fine. You know what I mean? That's fine for us. But we feel good that we were able to give 10 meals to somebody, or help the food bank out. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it's like a fine line that you ride, because like you want people to know that like there's more behind just taking your $30 for a hat. Yeah. Like this is helping other people as well, and there's more to us than just, hey, we're going to sell you a product and make money off of it. It kind of reminded me of like Tom's too, because their big thing, I mean, that was huge on their marketing. It was
huge,
was that like, hey, this is shoot. I mean, it did build them. So it has been successful. And not saying that there's intent, like, oh, we're only doing this so that we'll make a buck.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it came from the goodness of their heart. And I don't have any place to sit here and say, Tom's just doing this, just to make money. But there is that line that you kind of have to ride.
Yeah.
And my papa used to say there's a fine line between a brown noser and a shithead.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that goes to everything too, with like, business and sales and just business in general.
Yeah.
You want to come off authentic, and you want to come off as someone that your consumer wants to buy from, but you don't want to be so, like you said, gimmicky,
greasy.
Greasy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
First of all, I gotta stop you though, because my guys will kill me because you said it's granola. They'd hate that word.
They hate granola.
Yeah, but I know what you were trying to mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we are definitely outdoorsy. We're into mountain biking. We're into hiking. We're into all that stuff. We don't like the word granola, but I understand what you meant.
No, absolutely. That's a good thing to put out there.
Yeah.
Do not associate granola with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a lot of people too don't realize what a hot spot Arkansas is for some of this stuff. Like if Little Rock's smaller than Frisco, Texas.
Yeah.
Like a small, not saying that Frisco is small, but
300,000 is our biggest city. I mean, that's nothing.
It's tiny.
Big cities in the rest of the country. Yeah.
But I mean, there's so much stuff to do outside, and it is, mountain biking capital of the U.S. if I'm not mistaken.
Like they have a huge competition every year, like in Bentonville or something, and then climbing's a big deal here, and people don't think that. People think like out west it's a huge deal. There's a huge climbing event every year in Jasper, Arkansas. Like Alex Honnold, the guy from Free Solo, has been there.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a big deal.
Hunter actually told me, my cousin told me to watch this. It was the Great Wall or the Big Wall. I'm gonna have to think of what it is exactly because I want you guys to watch this. But virtually, it was two guys that climbed the largest face of this mountain in Yosemite, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And it took them
the Dawn Wall.
The Dawn Wall.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah.
This dude named Tommy Caldwell.
Yeah, he's like the goat of climbing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. He's been in it since he was like 13 or something, and he had some wild experiences in like the Middle East where he got like shot at and stuff. But
yeah, dude, okay. So y'all, I'm telling you, go on Netflix and watch the Dawn Wall.
The Dawn Wall, yeah.
And they call it the Dawn Wall because when the sun rises, the sun hits this specific spot on the wall.
Yeah, and it was the only spot in Yosemite that had never been climbed. So that's what the documentary's about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
Like this one dude has had some wild experiences. He was like a hostage in the Middle East, lost a finger.
Yeah.
Not to give away everything. You guys got to watch it. It's incredible just watching these guys. Like literally they're holding on to like this, the edges are not even as big as this like stone on the wall. And they're just like sticking their fingers in there. It blows me away.
Yeah. And we got our one of our artists, Chris Royer. He's actually president artist. Chris Royer he could climb that thing upside down, dude. Yeah. He's a badass climber also. We're trying to get some kind of event worked out. The same place they hold that horseshoe hell or something. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get an event worked out with them to do an event maybe a month or so before that big event to see if climbers want to like prepare and get, stuff like that.
Right.
To try to do a borderline event out there.
That would be sweet. Yeah. And I feel like that community is definitely, I'm sure, is a target for y'all because that's just what the brand is like and for. So obviously you've traveled quite a bit and, I've seen you've done some cool things at like Whitaker Point and places like that. So kind of tell me a little bit about what was, something that just really stuck out to you, like some of your favorite travel spots, places you've been.
Well, to the Whitaker Point thing, it's for people that might not know, it's besides Pinnacle Mountain, which is Arkansas's tallest mountain, that Whitaker Point might be the most visited spot in Arkansas,
Agreed.
For like outdoor enthusiasts. It's a big rock that kind of juts out over a tree canopy. one of my best friends, Dylan Lynn, and my brothers, we shot a rappelling video off of that.
I watched that today. It was cool.
Did you? Yeah. We worked with this cool guy his name's Andrew from Bluffline Media. He helped us shoot it, dude. We were gonna shoot it by ourselves. I found him on Instagram, and he made this thing like beautiful.
I mean, it was very well shot.
Yeah,
I was thinking that the whole time. Like,
yeah.
This is very well done.
Yeah, he killed it, man. We were very happy with that. But yeah, that was a iconic thing to do it off of Whitaker's Point. We've rappelled places way bigger than that, but that place to get like I got a photo from it where one of my brothers is like maybe 6 or 8 feet below the nose of it. The sun is coming up behind him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so everything's
that shot
glowing.
was sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, we were super happy about that.
And was that y'all were one of the few to do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know some older cats have probably done it in the past, but
Right. As far as documented.
Yeah. And to like do it legitly, you know what I mean? I think people have hopped off of there with a rope a couple of times, but to go off of the nose, you know what I mean? We hiked out there in the dark, so we'd make sure nobody was out there.
In the morning. I mean? Yeah, I was about to ask about like people.
Yeah, usually there's, 50, 60 people just standing around waiting to get on the nose of it to take a picture or something. We hiked out there in the dark, so there would be nobody around, you know what I mean? And we did it as soon as the sun come up. As soon as we had enough light to shoot it, we done it,
That's so cool, though.
Yeah, we had a couple little guys come up while we were doing it, and thankfully they didn't want to get in, on the nose, which we apologize for not, being in their way or whatever, but they were real cool and didn't step in front because they knew what we were trying to do.
I'm sure they could appreciate what was going on.
Yeah.
Even if you just came up and saw someone hanging off of this big, y'all got to check it out. Whitaker Point, just check that out on Google, and it's in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, on YouTube you can search rappelling Hawksbill Craig. It's Whitaker Point and Hawksbill Craig. It's like the same thing. I've never really understood that.
You have it in your header or your bio too. Mason Gardner on Instagram, in his bio, there's this video that we're talking about. You take time. It's got a bunch of views already. Thousands and thousands. So yeah, it's actually a really cool video. I did watch that this morning. I was like, this is sweet. I that's what was going through my mind the whole time. Like, how is there not people out there? Because I know it's pretty.
We got lucky.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. So I was kind of doing a little research like I do before most shows, and I saw this crater experience, and you kind of wrote a little bit about it, but I'm sure it sounded pretty incredible.
Yeah. So this past year, Borderline, and then my friend Dylan and Alyssa, we all went out to Utah to do a little trip to get do a photo shoot for our fall line, the last fall line. And we were just bouncing around different sites in the Southwest. That's honestly is my favorite part of the country, but we were bouncing around there doing photo shoots and stuff in each little location. But we were at the Grand Canyon, and if people know, there's one way in the Grand Canyon and one way out of the Grand Canyon. So you can, or actually, there's one way in, and if you want to continue to go out, you can't come back in the same way, right?
Right.
So we had left a vehicle outside of the Grand Canyon because it's $30 a vehicle to get in. So there was only 5 of us in this one vehicle, so we drove in, and they were like, "Oh, we can't get the other vehicle in. We have to go back down the same way we came." So we were trying to cut over to this other highway, and Dylan had used Google Maps and had said, "There's a road right here that'll cut us over." And he's like, we're like, all right, we go back down the same road, and we take a left, and it's a dirt road, and we're like, what is this? So we're hauling down there, and it's like 20 miles of dirt road, and we don't know anything about it. And we see these, or Dylan had seen this like thing on Google Maps. He couldn't figure out what it was, and it just said SP Crater, and we're like, well, what is that? We're out in the middle of Arizona. There's no phone service. Google Maps is the only thing that's running, We're out there, we're driving, and we stop, and there's like literally like a 6x8 sign that says no vehicles. So we park and we start hiking up this thing, and we get to the top, and it's just huge. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, like 500 yards wide crater thing in the ground, right? It took us like 2 hours to hike to the top, and all you could see was just this black like spill out of it, right?
Wow.
So we were up there at the top trying to like imagine what would have happened for this to be here, right? We took a lot of photos. I got some drone photo or video and stuff like that. It took us like 20 minutes to get down because the rock going up, it was so soft. It was like you took like 3 steps for every 1 step coming down or going up, but coming down you could like slide down.
Yeah.
We got down, kept down the dirt road. It was dark by that time, and then we finally got phone service, and we found out it was actually an old volcano that had erupted like 70,000 years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
There's like this,
And that was like right there by the Grand Canyon.
yeah, it's like probably 10 miles south of the Grand Canyon, and I think nobody there's people obviously know about it, but hardly anybody knows about it. You know, there was no like signs to lead tourists out there. It's like just
It was kind of like a rant, like you just randomly came upon this.
Yeah. We just saw SP crater, and we thought like a comet had hit the ground or something back in the day. You know what I mean? We didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
It was just a huge, massive hole in the ground.
Right.
But they were clearly like, it was like a sign that like a scientist had put out there and been like, this is SP crater. Not like, it was never meant to be a tourist attraction. You know what I mean? They don't want people like going up and down it and stuff like that. So we got lucky that we stumbled on an amazing like landscape thing that we had never even thought we didn't even consider that being a possibility, like a volcano out in the middle of Arizona. You know what I mean?
That's wild. That really is wild.
Yeah.
I kind of had an experience like that. So I could talk about this specific trip that I took for hours on end because we did so much stuff in a small period of time, but I'll try and make it pretty snappy. So basically my sophomore year, we were done for the summer, and we had like a little bit of time in between when we had to be back for summer workouts, and then we had a little bit of leeway. So my buddy, one of my best friends, his name's Davey McCollum. We roomed together, and like we're good buddies. He was from Medford, Oregon, which is like Southern Oregon. And so we took a 3 or 4 day road trip, me, him, and one other guy in a single cab, like 1990 Dodge, from St. Louis, Missouri to Southern Oregon, which, by the way, is a long freaking way for those of you. Look at a map. It's long. I think we drove at least 8 hours a day for like 3 or 4 days. Dang. I mean, we broke it up and made it good, but we stopped in Denver, and then we stopped in the Grand Tetons and saw the Grand Tetons, stayed at the base of that, which for anyone that hasn't seen that, it's like, it'll just take your breath away. It's so beautiful. And so we went through Wyoming and all that, got to Southern Oregon on the 3rd day, and we had brought our tent and stuff. It was early May, so it was still kind of chilly. Like it'd get in the 50s at night, but we were like, okay, we'll save money. Like we're college students. We'll pitch a tent one night. So this is the night. We had been driving, like I said, all day. And first little thing, I wouldn't even call it a gas station, but like a little diner / convenience store. Mm-hmm. So we go in there, and we're like, hey, sun's about to go down. Is there anywhere that, we could pitch a tent? Yeah. Like, do you know anywhere that we could pitch a tent? Just trying to talk to the locals. And we're like, and also, can we do you have any hot dogs or some baked beans like that we could throw over the fire tonight? And she's like, well, we don't usually do that, but let me see if I have some in the back. So she gives us some, and she's like, if you go back a little bit, go off this dirt road, and like we're in these huge valleys. She's like, you'll see a little place where there was a fire, and you can pitch tent there. Yeah. And the river was right next to it, and it kind of jutted out, and then there was a little island in the middle. Yeah. She was like, don't drive your truck across the little river. Yeah. But you can walk across it, and then like there'll be something on that island. Yeah. And we're like, okay. So we go driving through these huge valleys, like just big valleys all around.
Is it nighttime or?
It was like the sun was getting close to setting.
Yeah.
And so we found where she was talking about. Really cool spot, literally like right on the riverbank. And we waded across the river, super cold water, like freezing, like snow runoff. Yeah. And getting to the middle, and there is this natural hot spring just
awesome.
bubbling up.
That's awesome. I love hot spring.
And like the most random thing that happened, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah.
And then we just come upon the most non-commercial thing ever. There's nobody around. Like, maybe a handful of people know about this spot.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting in this like natural hot spring in this huge valley, like looking around, looking at each other, thinking, is this real life right now?
Yeah.
So we did that, and then went and saw Crater Lake. And that's like one of those 7 wonders of the world. It's like a mile high and just.
No, is it the deepest lake in the country or something wild like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something wild. It's like a mile high in elevation and is just huge. Like Crater hit it and just dug out this big hole. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so did that, and then shout out Jefferson State Outfitters. That's my boy Davey's little company. He does river trips, like river rapids down the Rogue River there in Oregon, and then does fishing trips for trout. But we went on a 3-day, 2-night river trip down the Rogue.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, and I could tell you even more stories about this, but I'm just saying that it's one of those things when you aren't looking for it and then you come upon something that's just so, like, you don't even know what to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, those are like the experiences that, like, you're going to remember forever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you got to do that type of stuff in your life because, like, school was over, you go back home and hang out, whatever. But doing something like that, like even though it was like a week or two, it changes your life. You get so much more like life experience about taking in stuff, what the world can offer you, you know?
Yeah, no, it does. And like, I've always felt like a connection to the outdoors and nature, and like, especially in times right now where everyone's kind of like stuck in the house. I'm like, make sure you go outside and at least like take a walk around the neighborhood.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Like, there's been a couple of days where I like went and hiked just around here, and it just is so kind of relaxing and like so good for you mentally to just get out of the house, especially in times like right now. So it's
kind of uplifting to see like families and stuff bicycling around the neighborhoods or whatever. That's cool to see. I know it's weird thing that we're in, but it's cool to see like some families like using it to kind of get closer or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I've noticed that, people have started kind of acting a little bit differently, like more personable, and I think this will change a lot of people's perspective on.
I hope so, man.
Yeah. I hope it's not like one of those little things that people just forget about this, like, which I don't think anyone will ever forget about this in history. Like, this is one of those things that will be in history, which is crazy. Yeah.
The amount of job loss, the economic disparity, this is gonna change. It is literally history. We're living through like a historical moment because
it's a weird thing.
The country's never shut down like this before.
Yeah, I was talking to some buddies about it, and we were like, we're gonna be sitting around the dinner table one day with our kids and grandkids, be like, oh, back in my day, we had to stay in the house for 3 months. Like, you ain't going out tonight. Like, you're staying in.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those. It's just one of those things, man. This is wild. It's a wild time.
I heard that it was like back in the Great Depression, it took 7 years to reach 10% unemployment. And we're about to do that in a couple months. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's saying something, because prior to that, we had the lowest unemployment rate ever, and the economy was thriving, which is crazy. Yeah. Even
in this recession we had in like 2008, like it was just like a little blimp of unemployment. It's nothing, you know. It's gonna be wild to see what happens coming out of it, man. Because there's gonna be certain places that never open again. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's already happening. Yeah. I saw the XFL. I saw
one year done.
They're like, peace. What is this about? Yeah. Found out there's no plans to return in 2021. RIP XFL. I think that model actually might have worked. It's kind of like a G League almost.
Well, I bet, I don't know the structure, but I bet they had a lot of money tied up, and debtors are already coming after their money. You know what I mean? So they probably took out huge loans to get everything started, to get the teams rolling, blah, blah, blah. And then people are like, hey, you got to pay me. Hey, you got to pay me. And they're
like, I need my money.
Yeah. which is kind of stinks because I think you're right. I think there was a couple people that actually got signed.
NFL.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was eventually going to be, was kind of like a feeder
Yeah.
program. But I mean, it was bringing, money and economy spike to certain cities. I know I used to live in St. Louis, and the Battlehawks there, I mean, they were like the pride and joy.
Really?
Like they would just come out in numbers and support them. And I mean,
I think they did it right this time too, man, because they actually got people interested in it. And like in the past, they tried XFL. It was like a little too silly. You know what I mean?
Right.
This time it was like football. Granted, it wasn't the best football, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they tried to play football, you know?
Yeah, and it still had that like almost like, I want to say like WWE feel to it.
Yeah, it was an entertainment for sure.
Yeah, like put a microphone in someone's face like right after they make an interception or something, and like the dudes are like chugging beers in the stands after a touchdown or something like that. But, it's just, I mean, it's really disrupting. I mean, everybody obviously, but especially those small businesses who like depend on people coming and showing up.
I mean, already before this, like 80% of the restaurants fell after the first year already. So how many restaurants are going to fail?
Wow,
now?
That's a stat right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of changes in the way that businesses are structured after this as well, obviously.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where nobody had a plan for something like this to happen for this amount of time.
Yeah. I can tell you with like Borderline, we've tried to slow things down because we know there's a lot more important things that people need to spend their money on than t-shirts. You know what I mean? We're still active and stuff, but to think like, hey, we're more important than your child eating, like we're not going to be that out of touch,
Right.
So we're still here and we're still like, we're waiting just to pounce, we got a lot of stuff we want to release, but we don't want to act like, hey, you don't have anything going on in your life, here, buy our shirt. You know what I mean? So we're trying to take a step back, and everybody is like excited about what we got coming, but we don't.
Right. You got your finger on the trigger, but you're just holding off for the perfect
think if
shot.
we do like releases and stuff, we've done one a couple weeks ago, but we already had that one in play. You know what I mean? But if we do it now, it just looks so out of touch. We'll stay active, and we're still doing all the things we can do, but it's a little transition type thing that we're in right now, just like everybody else,
Right. No, absolutely. And you really have to look at it from a perspective wise. I mean, people are losing their jobs and like things like that. So I think it's just a time for everyone to like take a step back, and hopefully they realize that, hey, a lot of things in life are important, but like family and your friends, and it's pretty amazing how many people have reached out to me, or just people in general that I've been talking to that I hadn't talked to in years.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, it's so good to hear from these people, and this should be a thing that we do intentionally when it's not a pandemic and like we're stuck in the house, because we get so caught up in our everyday hustle bustle that we kind of forget to do small things like that. But
I think it's just human nature to kind of get stuck in yourself, you know what I mean? And it's sad that that's the way it is, and it might just be the signs of the time that we got too much stimulant, you know what I mean? For back in the day, we might have, on a Thursday night, we might have called our cousin that we hadn't talked to, you know what I mean? Talked to him for an hour, but now it's just like things are going on. You're watching Netflix, whatever. You got a new show you need to watch. Yeah. When back in the day, you didn't really have that much stuff that could stimulate you like we have now,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like the balance that you have to have. I always say, like, life in general for me is so much about like balance.
Yeah.
Like, I like to go out and have a good time, but during the week, I try not to drink, and I try to, work out, take care of my body, eat the right things. Yeah. And then on the weekend when I do that stuff, it's okay. Yeah. I had the discipline, and then I have that balance, but I think that that's the same thing when it comes to social media. And like we said earlier, like consuming and, all the stimulant and like things that just you're constantly just kind of like putting your brain on numb mode.
Yeah, it's like a barrage of things just thrown at you all the time.
Yeah, and I talked about this a little bit 2 weeks ago in that solo one that I did, but it's like when you're in solitude and you're by yourself and, you know, there's not all that stimulant, you kind of have to look at yourself in the mirror, and that's uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Oh, it is, man.
Yeah.
It is. It's this weird stuff that we're going through kind of makes you, like you said, puts everything in perspective of what's actually happening, what means what in this, you know, what's important to you, what's your priorities, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's funny, like our economy is tanking because we're buying the things we need, you know. That's sad, you know what I mean? We're buying groceries.
Yeah.
We're not living in excess anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And now our economy's, you know, it's a wild thing to think about.
It is to think about that. Yeah. I mean, the whole I'm going to buy 80 rolls of toilet paper thing is so weird. Like, are you going to take more shits now because you're now
shitting for weeks, man?
Yeah. I mean, you might be eating a little bit more, but come on now.
Shitting for weeks straight, dude.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I hope that people come out of it with a different perspective. And, you know, I know it's all over the media, and that's why sometimes I hate talking about it. But it is the time that we're in, and I think it's important to, you know, not totally get overstimulated with all the bad news and think, okay, this is a situation I'm in. How can I make the most out of this?
Right.
Where can I give some time and attention in my life that I wasn't doing prior, now that I have this little extra time?
Yeah.
So it's all about perspective, obviously, and I mean, it is a big deal. People are getting sick and everything, and it is a big deal. But I just feel like on our end, we control the controllables and, you know, stay positive. Yeah.
I mean, it's not seeing people that you want to see. Like, my best friends are both nurses, you know?
Yeah.
Their fiance, Dylan and Alyssa. It's hard not, like, you see, I saw them like 3 times a week, and to now, like, they're working in a hospital. Like, what if I give them something and then they take it to somebody else, you know? Like, I couldn't live with myself like that, you know what I mean? So it sucks, like, not, you know, I don't get to see my
engaging
older family members, all that stuff, just like everybody else. But it's such a weird thing to think, like, there's a certain people that you're not going to see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a weird thing. It is. And like physical touch too, you know, like people want to give each other a hug. Like, I can't even dap you up, you know. It's like, what's up, dude? Like,
somebody shook my hand the other day, and I just by out of natural reaction, I shook their hand. Like, I actually shook it, and then after I did it, I was like, oh, I need to burn this.
Yeah. You're like, I'm walking straight to the restroom. Right now. Clean his hand.
Hand sanitizer.
Yeah, but man, that's pretty crazy. It's just a weird time, y'all. It's a weird time. So take care of yourself. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to all the healthcare workers and everyone out there that's, you know, putting their neck on the line for us. So, kind of back to your creative side of things. Like, what is something that, you know, what kind of direction do you see Borderline going in the future? Like, what's something that you maybe have in your back pocket that you would like to share at this time? It's not, you know, surprise.
Well, you know, we're always trying to be forward thinkers and like we want to be on the leading edge of design and stuff like that, because we don't want to just put another shirt out that has a mountain and that says our name under it. You know what I mean? So we're always trying to innovate on designs and stuff like that, and be Chris has some awesome coming up that I'm pumped to. I don't know.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Yeah. We're always thinking about stuff like that, but Gage McIntosh, he's our fulfillment expert. He's really he's the one that's coming up with like ideas on events and stuff like that. And he's trying to get us set up to do some like stuff abroad, you know, to help other communities out and stuff like that. Gage is he's a philanthropist at heart. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So he's probably thriving, right?
Yeah, he's cool to have around because he kind of straightens you out when you start getting a little too much like worried about the bottom line and stuff like that. So that's cool, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Just trying to stay.
Obviously, right now things are a little bit different,
right? But we're still in the mindset of wanting to be better than we were, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, come out on the other side.
Right. That's we're set up well where, you know, financially this Corona stuff we're taking a little ding because the spring is a huge thing for outdoor businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I think I don't know if I said this earlier, but like outdoor clothing is like a $6 billion market a year.
Wow.
So that spring is like the biggest time of the year for everybody.
It really has been beautiful lately.
Yeah. So we're taking a little ding on that, but we're all right. We're just trying to be ready to go once we can, you know. Yeah.
I think that's how it has been on my end as well, you know. So for those of you who don't know, I do orthopedic sales, so medical devices, but for orthopedic surgeons, and majority of these cases that we're covering, you know, an ACL or shoulder or ankle fracture, other than fractures and tendon ruptures is what they're saying, it's an elective surgery. Like you may have torn something in your shoulder, but you can still move. You can still do what you need to do. Mm-hmm. It may not feel as good, but it's not so needed at that time that it has to be done. And you have to put yourself at risk.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been the same thing. You know, we're going in when we can, trying to be supportive for the staff and for the nurses and stuff, but at the same time, just kind of like sitting on those hind legs.
Yeah.
And when this all blows over, to be ready to pounce. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's good, and it feels good to, you know, be able to help where we can in those situations, kind of like you said. So we talked a little about this before we started, but the Borderline van.
Yeah.
So I know that you all move around a little bit. You're active in events and stuff. So tell me a little bit about like the van. What's the inside of this van look like?
So it's
a bus.
It's a short bus. So
yeah.
it's not like Dumb and Dumber, a little bitty short bus, but it's not like I don't know. It's like a medium to short bus.
Medium size, like school bus, right?
Yeah. School bus. Our CEO Mark Bertel initially made it kind of just to help show off the brand. He's got, you know, we got the logo on the side, and this dude can make literally anything, you know what I mean? He's like a genius when it comes to that. So he's got cabinets, beds. He built a rack on the top so you can get up there and like party on the top of the roof.
Wow, that's awesome.
Kayak racks on the side, and we do little events to like a festival or something. You take the bus out there and people want to go and see what's inside the bus, and it's definitely like a spectacle. People get upset when we don't come with the bus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I've gotten people I don't even know have sent me a picture on Instagram. It's the bus driving down the road, you know what I mean? Just
they're like, check this out.
yeah.
See, that's awesome though. Yeah. Like the wrapping of the like vehicles in general is just like free marketing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. And it will go to like if we're all like floating the river or something, and you pull up in that, people are like, "What is that?" You know?
Yeah. That's good though.
Yeah.
Because,
it is.
Especially river, like people hopping in kayaks on the river and stuff.
Yeah. No. It every time people are like, "What do y'all do?" And then and that's just a new potential for new customers or fans or whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have a buddy who basically he does mobile detailing and things along that nature, and he actually just had a home shop. But one of the first things he did, he had a van that was mobile detailing, and he just wrapped the whole thing, all loud, obnoxious, the whole his company and everything. So I mean, it's a smart idea. It's just like like I said, free marketing, rolling down the street.
Yeah. And you get somebody like Mark. He can sell ketchup to a tomato farmer. You know what I mean? He is that type of man. So like you get him talking to somebody, he can sell the brand to anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. He's the one that got us hooked up with Hibbets. for people that don't know, we're in 50 Hibbets. So Mark just did his own. He reached out, talked to a sales rep, stayed on him, and he's the type of person that can be persistent, but it doesn't annoy you. You know what I mean? Like
that's that fine line we were talking about.
Like he knows how to pet the cat. You know, he knows how to be right there. So he's always in your head. You know what I mean? So he's been great to work with because he's taught me a lot when it comes to like that. Yeah. The handling of people, because sometimes maybe I'm a little more like in your face, you know what I mean? But Mark is kind of the type of person that's taught me that it doesn't have to be like that. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone has a different perspective and language that they talk when it comes to those kind of transactions in business.
Yeah.
So you kind of do have to like walk on eggshells a little at first to see like, okay, is this how he reacts to this? This is how. And that's just what you said about, what is his name? Mark
Bertel.
So what you said about Mark was, he had that persistence.
Yeah.
And that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's about with sales. Like, it's about action, and how much action you're taking can maximize your ability to create that sale. But it's also about how you are approaching it. You know, it's like the quality over quantity or vice versa. You need both in that kind of setting.
I mean, I could tell you like just one story, just how they contacted me in the beginning. Mark had found me on Instagram and had reached out about using some of my photos for promotional stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure. You know, why not? You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's cool. And he had asked me if I wanted a job. And I was like, I don't know who you are, you know what I mean? But I'll entertain this because it's an outdoor brand. I'm into that. I'd worked with another brand before. I'd helped try to start another brand before. So once he got me on the phone, dude, he sold me immediately on the brand, and got me to come up there and meet all of them, and had a great time. And I was like, I could definitely work with these guys, Yeah. And then now I'm part owner. So
there you go. Now you got some equity.
Yeah.
He sold you that good.
Yeah.
He must be good.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome though. And I think what I can tell about Mark just listening is he's passionate about about the brand. And when you're super passionate about what you're trying to give to somebody as a sale, I mean, it is a sale, but at the end of the day, you want this person to have it because you think it's going to make their life better, or you think that it is something that, will help them in some way.
Yeah.
And so when that passion shows, it's really easy to jump on the bandwagon. Yeah.
I mean, he put together a team, man, because like I was saying earlier, Chris is an amazing artist. So once we get him going, dude, you just like let loose and he'll come up with something awesome, and then Gage, man, he gets things done. You know what I mean? So all of us together it's kind of inspiring to be around because everybody has their little niche, you know what I mean? So we all kind of do our own thing and it all like is one cohesive circle,
Yeah. And that's super important too, because at the end of the day, like if you're trying to build something, you could have a vision and you could have things that, you want to set in place, but you need people around you.
Exactly.
Like you can't do life on your own. And it's the same when it comes to business. If you want to run it successfully and at scale, you need people around you that pick you up where you may be weaker at.
Yeah.
And I think I saw something from Gary Vee the other day. I like his stuff a lot.
I love him, yeah.
No bullshit. He's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
And he said basically like forget about any downfalls or things that you aren't good at. Forget about that stuff. Double down, triple down on the things that you're a badass at.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought that was pretty profound because I feel like some people are like, oh, I'm really bad at this. Like I need to focus on this. But it's different when you think like, all right, I don't need to focus on my weaknesses. I need to know, hey, I'm really good at this. And this is how I'm valuable. And this is how I bring value to this company or to this brand. And this is like my selling point.
Yeah.
Not that you don't need to be well versed because it's always good to have a bag of tricks up your sleeve.
Right.
But if you're great at something, like make that like be proud of that and own
exactly,
that.
Yeah. Gary V's given me so much inspiration to like actually do things. You know what I mean? He's that I used to be bad about just I wish I could do this. You know what I mean? And then he's the type of person that is like, well, just do it. Why not? You know what I mean? No, didn't matter if you don't know how to do it at first. Just if that's what you want to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if I'm pretty sure it was him. Was like, if you want to do something, create it for yourself. Like a job or something like that. Where if he talks about like trading cards and stuff, all the time. But like, for example, photography or graphic design, like I wanted to do that. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to do it, so I'm just not going to do it. I wanted to do it. So I'm learning and I'm interested into all this stuff to figure out how to do it good, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about action at the end of the day, man. Yeah. And that was something that I came to a realization. It was just starting this new year, and I was thinking about like resolutions and things along those lines. And I had just gotten done with my first full year of like being on my own and working a full-time job. And I was like, what else do I want in life? Yeah. Like I love my job and I'm passionate about it, but like what really makes me happy?
Yeah.
And I've always had all these ideas, and I think you can kind of resonate with that. And a lot of people can. Yeah. We have all these things that we're like, oh, this would be cool, or I really want to do this, or I really want to pursue this.
Right.
And whether it's one thing or another, that we just sit on it. And this year I was just like, you know what, screw it. Everything, I'm just sending it. Like, if I have an idea, I'm going to do it. I'm going to act on it. I'm going to make those calls. I'm going to reach out to those people, like action.
Right, yeah.
So it was the whole like stop talking, start doing thing.
Right,
like, put some of that stuff into motion, and then if it fails, it fails. You learn from you just learn from that, and you can not make that same mistake.
Yeah. Dude, for a young professional, like understand if you have a kid or something like that, but for a young professional that has like dreams and aspirations to do more, this is the time to do it. You know what I mean? Because once you have a family and kids and stuff, things get so bogged down with priorities that you have to take care of. But right now, why not start a podcast? You know what I mean? Because like you can do it. You have time to do it. You know what I mean? Right. And you can do it well because you can put in the time. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's something that for me, it was like, I think I'd enjoy this, and I think I could make a difference doing it. And then guess what? I'm also meeting new people, having authentic conversations, which I don't think enough people have authentic conversations anymore with, social media and everything like we talked about. And then it's like, I'm learning all these things. Like I'm learning from you, just the conversations we've had about how to build a website, how to shoot this video, how to take this picture, or like how to build a brand, like making a logo, doing some editing stuff, e-commerce stuff. So it's like, I'm learning all of these things about business while I'm pursuing something that I think can help people and is fun for me. Yeah. And that's how I think you found a passion is when you're putting because no bullshit, like this all from the jump has been a lot of work. Like I've invested in mics and, other things and merch down the line and all this stuff and time and hours and all that, trying to get it off the ground and get it started and learning how to be good at it and what not to do, what to do. Yeah. But it never felt like work. Yeah. I was always pumped about it. It always just got me going. And I feel like that's how you know that you're in a kind of like a flow state zone.
Yeah. Yeah. I am the same way, man. Like, when I started getting photography, I used to invite people to go on hikes or something to see these cool locations, And then people, I don't want to get up that early and to me, I'm like, well, I'm going to do this, you know what I mean? And this is what it takes. I got to get up at 5 a.m. if I want a sunrise photo at this particular location. Nobody wants to come with me. It's nobody else's dream to be a photographer or whatever, you know what I mean? So I have to do it. Yeah. It takes a lot of work. I'm waking up at whatever to drive 3 hours to go to one place for the right photo. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I understand that people aren't also interested in that. So in my head, I'm like, all right, this is my dream, nobody else's dream. It's on me to make this real, Yeah. That's been a lot of that's when I started like creating that self-discipline to actually do it. You know what I mean? When I was like, this is on me if I want to be that, you know.
Right. And that's the mentality you have to bring to it. Like, at the end of the day, you like answer to you. Like, you answer to all these outside forces, and there may be little things here and there, but you answer to you. Like, if you have something that drives you and something that you're inspired by, you shouldn't let what anybody else says change that perspective.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm speaking on, you know, things that you're passionate about and things that, you know, you think can make a difference or whatever it may be. But if it's something that gives you that excitement to hop out of, like, do it, man. Like, what are you waiting on?
I learned that in a weird way, because people would be like, next time you go wherever, let me know, and I'll go. Text them like, hey, next Friday I'm going. Well, you know, and like, okay. And then like the third time they turn me down, I'm like, all right, well, this person's, you know, never gonna go, so whatever.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I got a lot.
Sounds
of that.
nice.
Got a lot of that. Yeah.
Sounds nice. Yeah. And that's, I mean, that kind of just fires me up sometimes, because it's like, that's how it was with football too. You know, I'm up at 4 or whatever, and we're working out, and it may be tough, it may be freezing cold, it may suck, but I'm just like, hey, someone's not doing this. And I'm getting better. I'm gaining an advantage on them right now.
Exactly.
Just like you're getting that shot because you got up early and that other person didn't.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, you got to just, it's all about like the way you think. And when you start changing like the perspective on certain things, it's crazy how your life changes for the better, because you're looking at things from a different angle.
Yeah. I mean, it's an investment, man. Like, you put in that time, you get something else out of it. Just, it's a life investment. You know what I mean? Now you're better at football because you woke up that, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's a huge thing in life, and, you know, we all have to learn this. Some people learn it quicker than others do, you know, if you ever learn it, but
right.
Yeah. It's something you have to do if you want to be good, you know?
Absolutely. So I love to ask this question because I think it varies for every person. And, you know, it's in the U.S. and in this, you know, media bogged down world that we live in, where we're always looking at other people's lives and thinking, man, I wish I had that, or I wish I had this. You know, there's so many different views there's the worldly view of what success is, but then there's our view of what success is. And I think that's unique to each individual.
Yeah.
So what is your definition of success?
Ooh. I've thought about this a lot, so I love this question, because this is something I think about all the time.
Yeah.
So it might sound silly to some people.
No,
but,
absolutely not.
It's not about money. It's about like freedom. You know what I mean? And I will deem myself successful when I'm able to travel the country and be a photographer, as if Corona beer needs a something shot on some beach and somewhere else, and I am able to get that job, that will be, I'm like, all right, I've made it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to do. Yeah.
I'm so close. I'm so right there with you too, because it's like, I want that freedom to be able to say, hey, let me pick up and go to the beach, or let me pick up and go across seas, and still be able to do my duties and make money, and however that may be. If that's, you're investing in something and you have real estate properties and you have a condo running that's in the summer, and, you know, or someone that's renting a rental property that you have, and, you know, you're getting monthly, you know, income from that, whether it's that or whether it's something online where it's e-commerce, and hey, I can put my laptop and I can go across the country and I can still make money because I'm doing work.
Yeah.
Or it's doing something like you said, like a project where you're going to that destination and doing that. Like that stuff gets me excited too. So I think it's all about finding, first off, you have to ask yourself the question, like, what makes me happy? Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't even ask the question.
Right. Yeah.
So you kind of have to look and say, okay, why, like, what is this that I'm looking for? And what is my definition of success? And whether that's, you know, money for whatever reason, and you're willing to sacrifice time with family, time with friends, and just know that whatever you choose is your choice. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but there is sacrifices along the way. Like, and just know that whatever you just be able to know yourself and look inside and say, this is my thing, and this is why it's my thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's like the ultimate like key to happiness, I believe. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's being honest with yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
And being comfortable in your own skin to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I don't care what other people think, and I'm happy in my own shoes, and the people that accept it will accept it, and the people that don't matter. They don't matter.
Need them anyways,
There's a lot of people in this world, and I think most would agree with me when, we say, I don't really care for people that much.
Yeah.
The cool ones, are the people that you mesh with and, that you guys see on the same level. And if someone's judging you for something that's a passion of yours, then that's someone that doesn't need to, you don't need to be around.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, like, I remember when I have tattoos on my arm.
Yeah.
When I started getting tattoos, and my family would say stuff, because they don't care, but they're just giving me grief. You know what I mean? I'm like, you don't pay my bills. So until you start paying, if you want to pay my bills, I'll stop getting tattoos right now. You know what I mean? But I'm going to do what I want to do. You know what I mean? If I want a mountain tattoo on my arm, that's what I want,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that call to my mom. I was like, hey mom. She's like, what? I was like, you got a tattoo.
Yeah.
She was always the one that was like, don't mark your body. And I was like, that was it.
Yeah.
But I explained to her the meaning behind it and how, cause I always wanted one.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where I'm so picky. I'm like, obviously it's going to be on my body forever. So I want it to be something that is timeless for me.
Yeah.
And I want it to be something that means a lot. Like, and so when I found that, I was comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I sat down in the chair. I didn't even have second thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think that she kind of felt that when I explained it. But at first, same thing. She was like, why are you spending your money on that? Like,
I think the stigma's kind of deteriorated now. Like, to see somebody with a tattoo is not a big deal. Like, versus when our parents were young and those people had tattoos, it was like a big deal.
It was like, you do drugs.
That
person does drugs.
Yeah, that was a big deal back then. And now it's like friggin' everybody's got a tattoo.
It's an expression of oneself. I do think that some look better than others. I will say
of course, yeah. Yeah, of course, yeah.
I've seen some wild ones in the OR, excuse me. But just like old ones, like super like awful done. Like someone was sitting there with a pen going like this.
Yeah, but the thing is you don't think anything about it. Like, that person has a tattoo, you're not like, oh, that person's in a motorcycle gang or something.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the stigma's definitely slowly dissipating.
Yeah.
But so, man, hey, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, I think we had a lot of good discussion, and I think people will take a lot from it. And
I hope so.
I'm excited for, Borderline and the things that are coming in the future. So what's one thing that you would want to leave our listeners with? I know that we talked about a lot of different things as far as mentality and like following passions and stuff like that. But if you could leave the listeners with one thing to take, how would you kind of wrap it?
I just kind of how I think I live my life. I think helps me a lot. It might not help anybody else. I don't know. I try not to take myself too seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like the biggest thing. Is like, I will get out on a dance floor and dance the craziest dance because I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care if somebody's over there on the side crossing their arms. I'd never do that. You know what I mean? There's
this dude.
What does it matter? Just don't take yourself too seriously, because in the end, we're here to have fun, to love, all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Why take yourself too seriously when life's too short, to not have a good time,
Absolutely. Totally agree. Where can people find you on social and Borderline on social, obviously?
All right. It's at Borderline Clothing and Supply. That's on Instagram. On Facebook's Borderline Clothing and Supply. My personal is mason.r.gardner. At mason.r.gardner.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. On Instagram, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't put a lot on Facebook, but I try to every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all go check him out. Borderline, I mean, y'all have 40,000.
Something like
That's
that.
a solid following. A lot of good products out there. Go check them out. Go cop a shirt. Go buy a hat or something.
Please,
you know?
yeah, we all
Yeah, no, absolutely. Go support local businesses.
Yeah,
Hashtag support local
yes,
businesses.
please.
Support local. So, man, thank you so much for coming on, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm excited for the future for y'all, and excited to continue this relationship, man.
I would dab you up, bro, but
Yeah,
let's
do a dink. Hey, appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Breathing Air, where everyday action meets extraordinary mindset. Mason Gardner came on, gave us a great message today. Go follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Snapchat, and now we're getting YouTube rocking. So, we're gonna try and get some video out there, start pushing it. We had decent viewage for the first week, but we're gonna keep working on that and keep trying to get you some good content. So, hang in there with me as I learn the ropes, and thank y'all for tuning in to another episode. And I hope everyone's doing good and staying safe.